In my first video of the overall assessment on my 67 Mustang project, I talked a little bit about this ghastly aftermarket sunroof. These were popular in the early 70s to give you a template, and people would cut a hole in their roof, and the things were just a nightmare. For example, the sheet metal of a roof, like on the 67 Mustang, the shape of it is designed, in the tension of the sheet metal. So as soon as you start cutting it, it gets all distorted. For example, look over here. That just flexes and pops up there. So the whole thing's like that. I had some ideas, maybe putting a real power sunroof in there, as long as there was a hole, taking one out of another car. The Saab systems are real nice, but I decided against that. I'm just going to patch it. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit today. Here's a look from the inside. The way I've decided to do it, I've got a sheet of sheet metal, and I'm going to pair it with that. Now here's a view from the top. Sheet metal will actually be installed from the inside. I've got my hole marked out there. I've decided about approximately 3 inches on each side, because my idea is by tying that into the existing roof surface, that it'll transfer the shape to the opening. Now I've got these lead weights. These are actually from years ago. I took a course in yacht design, and these are actually lead weights that hold down a guide for drafting when you're drawing curves. But anyways, they're lead and they're very heavy, and they're just perfect for what I'm going to do here, because when I get the sheet metal in position, I'm able to adjust the tension in the various parts of the roof with these weights, and that will enable me to carefully analyze the shape and get it the way I want. Now I know there's a lot of guys out there who will probably insist that this is an improper repair, but I'm pretty confident this will work and actually make the roof stronger than it was. But there's a problem if you try to weld this. The heat on these roofs with this thin sheet metal, the heat will shrink different areas. You'll actually introduce more distortion to the roof panel. So what I'm going to use is I've used this JB Weld for various things over the years, and this is just tremendous stuff. This is the original formula, which is just perfect for this. The original formula, in contrast with the quick weld. The quick weld is something that is not as strong, but it's when you want to get a quick bond because it sets up quickly. Whereas the original formula takes about 24 hours to get completely cured. But the advantage of that is twofold. First of all, it gives you time to work with it, because it won't harden up on you. So if I want to move stuff around and adjust the position, which is something that I'm going to want to have to do on this will give me time to play around with that. So I like that aspect of it, that it's workable for a while before it gets too cured to work with. And then the other advantage is that the original formula that takes longer to cure is much stronger. And this stuff is just tremendously strong. So what I'm going to do is, the sheet metal panel I have here, I've got it marked out, and so after I get all my surfaces cleaned up and everything, and rig up a system, I'm going to take the sheet metal panel and install it from inside the car. And I'm going to rig up a system with some jacks and various things to hold it in position against the roof, and I can adjust everything and get it just right with that, and it'll hold it in place while it cures. So now I'm going to get at cleaning up all these surfaces and get, inside the car, getting everything just right. And on this panel, because you want this metal to be roughed up and very clean, clean it with something that removes all grease and oil and everything like that. And I might even use some metal prep on it to etch it to help ensure the maximum adhesion. But the thing which is going to be very important is doing a dry run on this. I'm going to get everything in here and set in the car with my jacks and everything as if I have it glued, and that way I'll be able to iron out any bugs in the system. You don't want to mess around and find things out when you've got the JB Weld on here, and you've got so much time to work with it, and you don't want to have a mess on your hands. So I want to do a dry run, get everything just the way I want it. So I'll show you that, and then I'll be able to go ahead and do the actual install. Fixing the roof, the options, having a donor car and replacing the whole roof panel is one option, but that's a tremendous amount of work, and I don't have a donor car. And I'm really confident, this isn't ever going to be a concours car, concours restoration, and I'm really confident that this repair will restore the shape to the roof, and it'll outlast the car. That JB Weld stuff is great, so I'm confident that this repair will work out. So I rigged up a system of jacks. Used a couple sawhorses and made a little table inside the car. Then got some sturdy styrofoam there, and then with my jacks I could support the sheet metal while I JB welded it in place. Worked good. I could just adjust by hand the tension on the roof. It took a lot of time in working the roof to get as many of the low spots up and bring down the high spots, and changing the tension on the roof as best I could. And now I've got the new sheet metal with the cold weld in place. It'll take 24 hours to cure. And then I've got these lead weights which are helping with the tension on the roof where I want it. And then a few of the kind of stubborn areas that no matter what I did, the tension in the roof, it was just too damaged by them cutting out that sheet metal for that sunroof. So I put a few sheet metal screws in temporarily in some of the stubborn spots there, and I right where the screws were, I didn't put any JB Weld immediately where the screws were, because I don't know how hard they'd be to take out. They could be welded in place pretty good, because that JB Weld is good stuff. So hopefully get the screws out easy enough, and then I'll fill those holes with the cold weld. Overall, I'm pretty happy. Came out about as good as I could have expected. And then after 24 hours, when I'll take the jacks out of there, and take the weights off, and see how well it holds the position that I've got it in as far as the roof tension. Hopefully it'll be just as I've got it now. It'll hold that position. It'll be a matter of taking the rest of the paint off the roof and fixing a few of the spots. And then of course leveling the sunroof. There, I've got the roof basically repaired. Sunroof's all patched. Just got to do some blocking of the final little imperfections in that. But pretty happy with how it came out.